Hey everybody out there, Justin Colburn here, and we're going to talk today about the periodic table of elements, which is considered the foundation of chemistry, which is called the central science. Guys, most of you have seen this before, as that, this is that dreaded chart that your chemistry teacher may have had you attempt to memorize in chemistry class. Most of you probably were unsuccessful in doing that. And guys, that's a real problem because this information is so important. Guys, this is the foundation of the central science, chemistry. Okay, so it's very important to learn this information. I would argue that this information is just as important as counting and reading. It should be that fundamental, guys. And, the fact that it's not is telling. And as I've been doing research on this over the last 8 or so years, I've come to the conclusion that it's kind of being covered up and made more confusing for a reason. Because they do not want you to have this information. They do not want you to have this knowledge. They do not want to empower you with this. Because once you have this information, once you understand this, it's a lot harder to manipulate you. It's a lot harder to control you. You have more opportunities, more creative capacity. This discovery, the discovery of the periodic law, which is essentially responsible for this this tool that chemists use, took us from alchemy to chemistry and quantum mechanics. It allowed us to have these almost magic-like technologies, guys, and we're just starting to scratch the surface of that in terms of what they're unleashing on the consumer. They've gotten so far ahead with their knowledge of this stuff that, we've fallen behind, and now we've become dependent on relying on these people that we don't know to have our best interest at heart. We rely on their technologies with no hope of understanding how they work or their effects on our body. So learning this information is extremely important. But they've made it very confusing for you. They've made it very difficult to learn. And I'm going to show you why. So the periodic table at its best, guys, is based on quantitative data. Okay? It's based on fundamental quantities that exist within the elements themselves and within the atoms themselves. And by understanding those quantities, you can understand how one element works with another element. You can understand what substances and compounds will do in your body if you can understand the periodic table and some principles of stable bonding. Okay, and again, that comes from understanding the periodic table of elements, or the periodic law, which is what the periodic table is based on. So the order and quantitative data is the most important component of this system. The predictive power comes exclusively from the order and the arrangement and the quantities of the elements. Okay, so why they're making it more confusing, again, I think it's because they don't want you to have this information. Others might think, they're doing it just because, maybe they don't know that this makes it more confusing, but I am hard-pressed to believe that myself. I think this is a purposeful suppression of knowledge. So the real periodic table, the correct arrangement of the elements, can be found on the internet if you type in quantum periodic table or wide periodic table. And what that looks like is this. And you'll get about, I'd say 1 or 2 of these per 1,000 of the broken periodic table. I mean, even on this wide reflection, which is a more accurate reflection of the elements, they still put the broken one here. It's like, that's part of their symbol, is that broken periodic table. But this is the more accurate reflection. And even this one, if you'll notice, it still holds the old numbering system, the broken numbering system. Because look, you have 1, 2, and then they exclude these elements from the numbering system, and then back to 3, 4, 5. So they're still using this broken and also inaccurate numbering system. And what that does, guys, is it forces people to memorize rather than learn. It forces people to memorize rather than learn. And it's always harder to memorize something than it is to just learn the logic behind a thing. So, yeah, they're saving paper space. We don't even use books anymore. We use tablets and laptops and widescreen computers and widescreen monitors. So perfect time to introduce the true periodic table as the standard. I got another one over here that I've accurately numbered here. If you see here, this is a more accurate numbering system, 1 through 8, 9 through 18, and then this is 19 through 32. Ran out of magnets here, but that's supposed to be 19 through 32, and this is 1 through 32. And then here, this is showing you how many elements are in each period. And then over here, we just keep this the same, 1 through 7. That's showing you how many periods or how many electron energy levels there are. So again, guys, this is so important. I'm going to read you a passage out of this book here called How the World Works, the Periodic Table. Okay. It says here, the periodic table is perhaps the only piece of knowledge we might share with intelligent beings on other planets, even in other galaxies. It is valid throughout the universe. So universal is the language of the periodic table that we might use it to speak to other beings with completely different bodies, cultures, and minds. What they will have discovered about the elements will be the same as we have discovered. Though the narrative might be different, the story of the periodic table must reach the same conclusions throughout the universe. So guys, what that is saying is this is a universal language of science. And although you may have seen alternative periodic tables, one of my periodic tables is actually published on it's called the Meta database of periodic tables. It's the world's largest collection of periodic tables online. And my periodic table was published under there just recently under Colburn's periodic table. And although there are many periodic tables on that website, the periodic table, the order of the elements, is actually pretty invariable. There are only a finite number of ways to list the elements without breaking some type of logic. And there is also a best way. The way that provides the maximum amount of accurate and useful element information is the best, right? all those that do not provide the maximum amount of element information, they're just the rest, right? But the best one would provide the maximum amount of element information. And I'm going to show you what that one is. And I can prove this without a shadow of a doubt by just numbering the data points. How many data points can you extract from this system? And you'll find that in the periodic table that I'm going to present you, you can extract more element data points than any other system available. Okay, and it's the only periodic table also with a complete and accurate numbering system. So that it's called the Genesis periodic table, or Colburn's periodic table, which is on that world's largest periodic table database. So you can check those out. Guys, let me clue you in on something too before I finish up this video here. Guys, this matches up with the story of Genesis. Okay? The periodic table of elements, the foundation of chemistry, which is called the central science, matches up perfectly with the creation account in Genesis of the Bible. Okay? From atom, A-T-O-M, to Adam, A-D-A-M. Guys, this is Adam. Okay? Just look at this, guys. Look at this. The more element information that you apply to this, the more clear it becomes that this is the image of Adam from the Bible. Okay, from Adam to Adam. I'm telling you right now, call me crazy, whatever you want, but the more accurate element information you apply to this, the more that this looks like a man lying on his back, as in the Garden of Eden in Genesis. Okay, so we're going to do more videos on this, guys. I want to keep this one a little bit shorter, though, to keep your guys' attention. So next time we'll go more in depth on this. Again, if you want to look up my work, go to Google and type in the Genesis periodic table, or type in Colburn's periodic table, and you'll see a little bit more of my work. Hope you guys found this interesting and informative. Make another video soon. Have a great day. God bless.